The Notre Dame Fighting Irish welcome the Texas A&M Aggies to South Bend on Saturday night. Couple keys to victory, but one I want to focus on today is a potential defensive adjustment that the Fighting Irish could implement against the Aggies, and I want to talk about it next. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports breaking down everything Notre Dame football. Folks, the bye week is gone. We have the Texas A&M Aggies traveling to South Bend on Saturday night, and it's a game that I'm very excited about to see head coach Marcus Freeman and this Notre Dame squad be able to come back from the loss against Miami a couple weekends ago, and I think that they have the formula to do so. But I'm very interested in the defensive formula for today's conversation, and it goes with Coach Ash, Chris Ash, in his first game at Miami. You saw a coach that I think is kind of still getting to know his personnel and getting to understand what everyone does well on the field and what he can do and what he can't do. And I think that it was a little bit of a tentative game plan, just kind of understanding what your players can do. But I'm interested to see in this game against Texas A&M, and I talked about it a little bit earlier this week at A to Z Sports on this channel actually. Talked about two wide receivers that give me a little bit of pause, and that is Kevin Concepcion, plays a lot in the slot, former NC State transfer, and that is Mario Craver, who's more of a speedy outside threat who can also play inside the slot. He's a transfer from Mississippi State. Two dynamic weapons who have over 380 yards combined through 2 games and 6 touchdowns, so they've been very good for quarterback Marcel Reed. So the question is, how do you counteract those two players? They have Terry Bussey as well, who's a talented youngster, but those are your guys. Those are your dudes in the passing game and guys that have been so impactful through 2 weeks. What does Notre Dame do to counteract these players? Because here's the issue, potentially. Your best corner is Leonard Moore, who is a boundary corner. He's going to play to the short side of the field. He typically is going to go against the bigger body pass catchers into the short side. On the field side, you have Christian Gray as your starting corner, and then you have your nickel position, which is a combination of Devontae Smith and Carson Hobbs. The problem with defending these two players is, one, they're both smaller players, so you're going to see them both more as field receiver, slot receiver, and kind of mix and match a little bit. You'll see either one of them into the boundary at times, but that is not where they're going to butter their bread. Like, that is just not what's going to be advantageous for them because they're both 5'10 or lower, and they're about 175, 180 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. So they are inside out receivers to the field. So that means, in theory, not a full blanket, but like in theory, Leonard Moore is going to be covering a player that maybe they're not going to prioritize as much in this passing game. So my question is, first and foremost, how do you counteract both players when they're both to the field? Let's say, in theory, Kevin Concepcion is in the slot. Then you have Mario Craver as the outside field receiver, Christian Gray, nickel. I'm wondering if there might be an adjustment. We saw a little bit of Christian Gray in the slot last week, actually, or against Miami, I should say, because he had the chance to help a little bit against very talented youngster Malachi Toney that had a really good game for the Hurricanes. I'm curious to see, one, do we see either of Christian Gray or Leonard Moore get some opportunities to play in the slots? Because I'm thinking of a world where if you say, hey, in obvious situations when we know both those players are to the field, or when we find it, do you throw Leonard Moore to the field corner and let Christian Gray play inside? Do you do vice versa? Do you try to match up your 2 best cover men against their 2 best wide receivers in those types of situations? I think there's some merit to it. One, the nickel position was a little bit up and down. I'm not giving up on Carson Hobbs, not nearly there. And Devontae Smith, I think, has upside a ton. So I think that those two could be a good player in the nickel long term and a good pair in the nickel. But this is a big game for Notre Dame. If you go 0-2 on the season, it's going to be tough to dig yourself out of that conversation and try to be in the playoff run when it matters most. So this is a big game for Notre Dame. So do you pull out, I don't want to call all the stops because I'm not asking them to be super exotic and throw in these crazy blitz packages, but I am saying, do you try to get Leonard Moore and Christian Gray to the same side of the field if Kevin Concepcion and Mario Craver are playing to the field as well? Interested to see if there's any of that game plan or mixing and matching, or if one of these corners follows one of these wide receivers specifically. We'll love to hear from you all. Is this something you would consider? Would you want a Leonard Moore to follow either Concepcion or Mario Craver? Would you like to see either one of them in the nickel? We'd love to hear from you all. Also, put in a chat right now. We'll do an early and we'll do a prediction later in the week, but I want to hear some predictions right now. Tell me Notre Dame, Texas A&M, how are you feeling about the game? Make sure to hit that like and subscribe on your way out as well. And as always, go Irish.